Guy in a suit of armor, bro. It's already been told.
One major development going on now involves
We don't want to see this.
Thorne going off.
Like, y'all remember when Black Panther, for the second Black Panther, that movie, we didn't want to see a different T'Challa. We wanted T'Challa. That's just what it was.
At the fans yet again, in the midst of the Ironheart ratings disaster.
That is all ego. You would never find me with an ego like that. Not with my fallopian tube. Comes to the numbers. Spoiler alert. Not exactly what we expect. Ironheart ratings in the gutter.
Now Thorne delivered the following, in a desperate play to salvage the series. I think Marvel fans, she says, just need to take a step back and to stop focusing on our support for both diversity and LGBTQ and claiming that has some form of a hidden message.
Natalie AI thing seems utterly preposterous and ridiculous, and even for an MCU show, I'm finding it to be a little bit of a bridge too far to go. The Heist crew, all lame. Every single one of them, all lame.
Damn. Why is he cooking the Heist crew?
Because this character isn't to be confused with Slug. Slug, our hacker extraordinaire. Who is also
Yeah, I don't think it's because of the crew, though, right? I just think it was the character. It's kind of like the same thing I'll talk about with MK, y'all. They slaughter the character. Like, the image of the character is slaughtered. So, like, at that point, you don't even want to play as the character. That's literally what this is. That's all that this is about. We've already got Iron Man. We don't need this.
Was a massive disappointment in the ratings for them, certainly. We do know, when you go and you look at through these charts, the first couple days it was out.
That's all this is.
Ironheart in these numbers, just like we had 3 days of Daredevil in these numbers. And Daredevil,
I don't think Ironheart was that bad. Yeah, that's the thing.
So,
I don't doubt that Ironheart wasn't bad at all, right? I think Ironheart probably was a good movie or a good show or a good series. You know, I didn't personally see it, but what I do know is that the story has already pretty much been told, where, you know, we have Tony Stark, this brilliant guy who basically was in a cave and he basically worked on the first Iron Man suit and busted out of that cave. You know, that's the original story that everybody likes to see, right? Like, I'll put it in MK terms, right? Where Sub-Zero ends up fighting Scorpion, right? And Scorpion ends up winning, right? It's canon, and you want to see it every time, whether that's on screen or whether that's in a video game. But imagine we see something like, I don't know, let's say like Smoke or something, like fighting Noob Saibot. That's not going to be as epic as Scorpion fighting Noob Saibot. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like that.
and that was with less.
That's just the way I see it.
Time than something like Ironheart. Yet we know that it hasn't matched that.
Now is that we know that Kevin Feige and Bob Iger, they're also engaging in damage control about this show, saying things like, don't trust the negative reviews, don't trust the trades, stuff
Bro,
like that.
she's so mad.
Marvel of all time. The reactions are just spectacular. Supposedly smarter than Tony Stark. Bites an electric wire.
Supposedly smarter than Tony Stark.
Uses new power.
Supposedly smarter than Tony Stark. Like, look at this shit.
To steal. What the writers.
Look at this shit, bro.
Smoke detector beeps.
And they're doing everything in their power to really prop up this show. That's exactly why they had RDJ, Robert Downey Jr. some weeks ago.
Yeah, it was a doom from the
to really say
start,
that
bro.
Riri is the best thing to end to the MCU to represent the legacy of Tony Stark.
You understand?
You know, we don't want to.
Watching her interviews.
That's the thing. This is the thing, bro. We don't want to see Tony Stark die and then you guys reboot him and basically sector him, right? We don't want to see that again. Like we don't want to see it in Marvel. We don't want to see it in DC movies. We don't want to see it anywhere. We just want our character the way we want it. It's just that simple, bro.
That she's having on young black girls, and I'm gonna be completely
Is
honest.
it I gotta have to
This is
charge
yet
my
another
phone?
area
All right, bro.
That's getting vibrant.
Thanks for
And
coming
it's
out
still
tonight, bro.
limited
You
shit.
take care. Make sure you're
Marvel
eating an
just
apple a
flopped
day, bro.
Ironheart. They buried it. No trailers, no press, no premiere. A $200 million series vanished like a studio secret they hoped no one would ever find. You didn't miss the ads for Ironheart. There weren't any. You didn't miss the Phantom. There wasn't any. Marvel didn't release this series. They dumped it.
Damn.
It deserves your attention. Ironheart deserves your attention. That's how I know.
How badly did this-
To get people to watch this show. After I did my reaction, I kept getting.
Hey, I trust him, bro. That he got Thanos in the back. He's got Magneto, and there's a little what is the little pip pop toys? I don't even remember what these are called, but it's Superman. Yeah, I trust him.
It wasn't that bad. I just watched it. Hey,
Yeah,
I just.
he's watched every Marvel movie. He has every comic book. He knows his shit.
Watched the first 3 episodes. It wasn't that bad.
On a
All
random
right,
Tuesday,
Ice Bro,
Ironheart
take care,
quietly
man.
slid onto Disney Plus with zero fanfare, no countdown, no interviews, not even a vague tweet from the official MCU account. And in an industry where studios brag about every view, every hashtag, every viral clip, this one came with silence. And you know what that silence tells us?
Jesus
Ironheart wasn't just
Christ.
another misstep. It was a disaster so big, even Marvel was too embarrassed to promote it.
Ironheart
Jeez,
might be one of
bro.
the worst executed ideas ever in the MCU because under all that garbage was actually potential.
Yeah,
They wanted attention,
hey.
they wanted distance. But that's not the full story, because what happened behind the
Hey.
scenes, from the bizarre plot decisions to the character that was supposed to replace Iron Man to the growing
She's
rumors of
so
data
mad,
manipulation,
bro.
reveals something even deeper. Ironheart didn't just
She's
expose the
so
bad show,
mad,
it
bro.
exposed how far Marvel has fallen.
Yeah, and it's like the real Tony Stark gets like back somehow. And
Yeah,
like,
you
moment
see what he said
where
there?
she's
The real
playing
Tony Stark. That's what we want. We want the real Tony Stark. We don't want this. We don't want Ironheart. We want Tony.
He's like, who's that? And she's like, I'm Ironheart, Mr.
We
Stark.
want Tony.
And he's like, I like that girl. And then he like goes to do something else. Like that would be like the level of something that I think.
Yeah, y'all basically just tried to
So,
replace
let's rewind.
Tony
Let's break
Stark.
it down, because the story
Y'all
of
tried
Ironheart
it.
is more than just a flop. It's a warning, and maybe, just maybe, the moment
That's
the
what it
MCU
was.
lost
That's
its
all it
spark
was.
for $200 million. That's how much Disney and Marvel reportedly poured into Ironheart, and yet most fans didn't even know it came out. Let that sink in. This
I
wasn't
didn't
some
even know it
low-budget
came out.
experiment or surprise indie project
I'ma be
buried under
honest.
bigger releases. This was meant to be the next big character.
I didn't
the heir to
know.
Tony Stark, a genius young black woman building her own iron suit from scratch. The kind of storyline Marvel should
And then
be
they're gonna
shouting from
use
the
this.
rooftops.
All right,
Instead,
bro.
they dropped
All right, bro. You can't use that storyline, bro. You can't use that as like a. Nah, that's not. That, you shouldn't be using that to defend yourself. Like, no. It's not because he's black. It's literally because she's not Tony Stark. That's it. Don't try to pull that card, bro. No.
3 episodes on a weekday with no trailers. And then
No.
exactly 1 week later, the rest. No press tour, no fan event, no teaser countdown, not even a 30-second clip on the Marvel YouTube channel hyping it up. Why? Because
Like,
deep down,
why are we
they'd
trying to
seen the writing
pull
on the
that?
wall.
Like, no, that's you trying to pull a fast one, bro.
Subscription instead of multiple AI tools. One of my secret weapons is.
It's literally because she's not Tony Stark, bro.
They've watched the
That's
early
it.
screenings. They've done the re-edits, the reshoots, the internal test screenings, and when it still couldn't be saved, they made a
Like, we'll get y'all more excited, bro. Can't
choice.
even
Why
go
is he
back.
buried?
Hold on. We'll get y'all more excited, bro. Seeing this guy fly across the map off on I said map, Jesus. This is not Fortnite. Seeing this guy fly across the screen, bro, or seeing her fly across the screen. Let's be real.
Still couldn't be saved.
You're
They
right.
made a choice. Quietly bury it and hope no one noticed.
There is also way too much focus on the LGBTQ community by the fandom in a negative manner, and it just needs to go away. I think for a healthy story to grow, and for Riri to really share her limelight with.
But people did notice, and not in the way Marvel hoped. Industry insiders began calling it a self-cancellation.
They don't get it,
in
bro.
disguise. A
They
silent
just don't
rollout
get it.
meant to bury the series before it had a chance to fail publicly. No expectations, no headlines, no accountability, and even more telling, Marvel never once released the viewership numbers. That's not
I
just
feel like, bro, they're just
unusual.
running out of
Daredevil,
fucking
Born Again
ideas.
premiere, Disney
They gotta
Plus
be.
to announce 7.5 million views.
Maybe
Thanks
it's
to
not
All
just
Along,
NetherRealm
they touted
Studios. I don't know.
9.3 million, but Ironheart crickets. Even The Acolyte, with its mixed reviews and controversial themes, got press coverage and engagement stats. But Ironheart, it was like Marvel tried to erase it from existence. Why spend $200 million on a project, then pretend
Okay,
it never
but look,
happened?
here's the
They
difference between the
tried to erase it from
alkalides
existence.
and
5 million views.
and
When
that.
Agatha All Along landed, they touted 9.3 million. But Ironheart crickets. Even The Acolyte, with its mixed
Here's the difference between this, though, right? They're not trying to replace iconic characters, right? Yeah, we'll see. Like, okay, you can say that there's a Wookiee here, right? But we know what Chewbacca looks like. We've seen what other Wookiees look like. You know, this isn't like imitating or like trying to dethrone somebody else. That's all it really is. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
mixed reviews and controversial themes, got press
That-
coverage and engagement stats. But Ironheart,
That's
like
why I'm
Marvel
pretty
tried
sure
to
that's
erase it from
sold better
existence.
than
Why spend
Ironheart,
$200
bro.
million on a project and pretend it never happened because they knew. This wasn't just a risk; it was a guaranteed failure, and they tried to ghost drop it into oblivion. But what made it such a failure? What went so wrong that even hate watchers didn't bother?
Let's see.
It all
Let's see if
starts
he's on the money with
character
it.
They were banking the future of the MCU on. Riri Williams was supposed to be Marvel's next big thing, a young prodigy from Chicago, brilliant enough to build.
So
her
they
own
were gonna
Iron
make
Man
more
suit from
movies.
scrap. On paper,
See
that
what I
sounds
mean?
Like a modern-day Tony
See what I
Stark
mean?
origin, grounded, empowering, and timely. But when she finally hit a screen in Ironheart, something felt off. Riri didn't feel like a hero in progress. She felt like a product. There was no real journey, no growth, no struggle. From the moment we meet her, the show frames her as already the smartest, the bravest, the most misunderstood genius in the room, which would be fun if we
Right.
got to see that growth happen. But we don't. Instead, we're told to admire her constantly. The show doesn't ask us to connect with Riri. It demands we applaud her. And that's where the disconnect starts. Because viewers don't connect to characters who are perfect from the start. We connect to their flaws, their struggles, the moments where they fall and
Yeah.
fall back up. Think of Tony Stark. He was a self-absorbed businessman who had to go in a cage
Boom.
to become Iron Man. Think of Peter Parker, overwhelmed, unsure, constantly learning. But Riri, she's portrayed as bulletproof, untouchable. Every obstacle she faces gets brushed off. Every decision
So
she
she's
makes
got
is
plot
framed as correct.
armor.
She never doubts herself. And when she does face consequences, they're often minimized or blamed on others. That's not empowerment. That's detachment, and it gets worse.
It's
because
plot-
the show
plot
ends,
armor.
this is real. With Riri striking a deal with Mephisto. Yes, Marvel's version of the devil. Instead of a sacrifice, instead of a growth moment. She ends her arc by partnering with evil. Not in a tragic way, not as a moral lesson, but as a strategic
canon?
move. Marvel tried to sell it as edgy, but it landed
know if
as
that's
tone
canon or
deaf,
not.
confused, and totally disconnected from the emotional core of the character. And here's the real problem. Riri was never built as a person. She was built as a symbol. A young black female prodigy who checks every box, but never comes to life on screen. The writing treats her like an idea, not a human being. And that's why fans couldn't connect, because no one roots for a checklist. And Marvel, they knew this character had issues, which is exactly why they started Damage Control before the show even aired. You'd think
Wow.
the lowest point of Ironheart would be its empty release, or its
Just
hollow
wow,
writing, but no.
bro.
Marvel managed to take it one step further.
There's
and
no
they did
way.
it with a twist that left even fans shaking their heads. Because when all was said and done, the big finale, Riri's defining moment, was her striking a deal with a literal devil. No metaphor, no symbolism.
So
We're
wait,
talking Mephisto, Marvel's version of Satan himself. Let's pause
So
on
is
that.
this a
character
is
who
this
was
a
supposed to
TV series, right? This is a TV series, right? Let me see. Or is this a movie? No, it's on Disney Plus. Okay, so it's a TV series. Okay. I mean, hey, it is what it is.
represents brilliance.
It is what it
innovation,
is, bro.
and the future of the MCU. And she ends her arc by aligning herself with the embodiment of evil. And this wasn't some kind of tragic sacrifice either. It wasn't a moment of weakness or emotional manipulation. It was a business move, like she was closing a tech startup deal with Lucifer himself. This wasn't subversive. It wasn't clever. It was confusing.
So
Jarring,
y'all
and
messed
most
up
of
the
all,
big
emotionally
moment
empty.
too?
Marvel
Hell
tried to
no.
frame this as bold and dark, but to fans, it felt more like desperation. A Hail Mary from a writer's room that had no idea what they were building. There was no setup, no moral weight, no internal
back, guys.
conflict
I
to
love
justify
Lee
this
May
decision.
and
It just
Jade,
happened,
or
like a
versus
twist for
Jade.
twist's sake move.
Yeah, no, that was
Fan
fire.
with zero
I
stakes.
gotta get
Here's
my
where it
hands
gets
on
me,
that card.
because this wasn't just bad storytelling. This twist undermined everything Ironheart was supposed to say.
100%.
What does it say about a legacy character, someone meant to follow Tony Stark, who doesn't find her strength through struggle, sacrifice,
But that's the
growth,
thing,
but
though.
through
You're
a
not
shortcut
trying to
through
have her
Tony.
follow Tony Stark. You're trying to have her be Tony Stark. And I think that was the biggest issue. I think that's the
Stark built
biggest
his
issue.
legacy by
Right. As well as like not being able to connect with the character. Yeah, that's a big deal, too. But trying to replace and dethrone a character that's already a character that somebody, you know, is already familiar with and a character that people love, you're not going to be able to, nah.
trying to save
Nah.
the universe. Riri Williams, she cut a deal with the devil to
You
stay
just
relevant,
not, bro.
and Marvel tried to sell this as fresh storytelling, but all it really did was expose a terrifying truth. They have no idea what kind of heroes they're building anymore. And fans fell that. Because you can write diversity, you can write representation, you can write symbolism, but if you don't anchor it in humanity, in real, vulnerable, flawed storytelling, it just floats away. Meaningless, weightless, which is exactly what happened here. Riri's story didn't end with triumph. It ended with confusion, contradiction, and collapse. And Marvel, they saw the storm coming, which is why they shifted into panic mode the moment this series
I
was
mean,
streamed.
yeah,
The
that's
second
the-
the first three
hey.
episodes dropped with no buzz,
Hey, cut off the dead hand, bro. You got, if it's infected, you got to cut it off. I get it. I get
traction
it.
and zero critical acclaim,
I get
Marvel
it.
pulled the emergency lever. And what followed wasn't promotion, it was damage control. Let's start with the most obvious move. Robert Downey Jr. suddenly appeared on talk shows, podcasts, and press circuits, not to promote
Right.
a new Iron Man project, but to sing praises about Riri Williams. He called her the future of the MCU, said she
Oh.
carried the legacy of Tony Stark, and tried to build a bridge.
I wonder how much they paid him to do that shit. Yeah, he's like, I got to. Look, yeah, no, they paid him big money to do that.
between his iconic
Yeah, they
run
did.
and this brand new character most fans hadn't even heard of.
Yeah,
It
go
was
on
a
stage
desperate
and just
attempt to
say
lend
this real
credibility, a way
quick.
to transfer Iron Man's legacy to a character that had
Yeah, yeah,
audiences
that's
saw
perfect.
right through it. This wasn't mentorship. This was marketing. RDJ wasn't there because he believed in the story. He was there because Marvel needed a familiar face to cover for a collapsing franchise. And then came the next
Exactly.
round of review scrubs. Within days of
No, this
Iron Man
guy's on the
landing
money,
Disney
bro.
Plus, fans noticed something strange. On Rotten Tomatoes, one-star reviews began disappearing. Harsh comments were vanishing, filtered out. It looked like a digital cleanup job in real time. And it's not the first time Marvel or
Yo. So, I don't know if y'all went to go see the Superman movie or not. Spoiler alert. I'm telling you guys right now, before we continue watching this. Right. There was a scene, and I'm not going to spoil too much, but there was a scene where they literally had monkeys on the computer, like, typing and stuff. And, like, literally just, like, controlling, like, social media, bro. And it was controlled by Lex Luthor. So the monkeys were basically just saying everything on social media about what he needed them to say, right? That's pretty much what they just did right here. That they literally just did a cleanup job and they swept it under the rug.
Disney's been accused of manipulating reviews. But this was blatant. Too many negative comments just gone. Replaced
And
by
then all of a sudden the negative comments are gone. Now it's covered with good reviews. I'm telling you, stuff like that actually happens, bro.
Generic, vague positives that didn't even match the tone of the actual audience feedback on other platforms. Yet even with
Okay,
the scrub down,
Research is
Ironheart couldn't be
better.
saved. The score's still 10. IMDb sat at
But
4.2 out of 10, a rating that
Research
puts it
is
right
a
alongside
better
Eternals,
black
Inhumans,
woman.
and Morbius. Marvel's Mount Rushmore of misfires. And Marvel's response? Total silence.
Well, I don't think
Interviews
it's
with the
about
showrunner.
being
Don't you
black
hate
or
me?
anything like that, bro. It's just that we just don't want to see like characters like getting flip flopped, right? Like trying to replace them with whatever the fuck, bro. Right? Like no one asks for a girl Sector, right? We wanted our original character that we were familiar with since 2000 whatever, right? Now, if Sector would have started off as a girl, we wouldn't have any issues, right? They turned him into a guy. I was like, okay, what the fuck, you know? Like, just imagine like Bayonetta or like somebody like Bayonetta, right? And they flip her and they turn Bayonetta into a guy, right? Do you really think that those game sales will go up? Like, this isn't like about like sex or anything like that, right? It's just something that people are familiar with, and now you're trying to take it and you're trying to misconstrue it. That's basically what it is.
Channels, no behind-the-scenes commentary, not even the usual.
Hey, did you watch Fantastic Four? Danny, what is good, my guy? No, I have not.
Any criticism was
I'm
deflected
seeing it
as
on Friday.
misunderstanding. And Dominique Thorne, the lead actress, was sent out to deliver the final PR spin. She went on record blaming the negativity on people who just aren't ready for diversity. She said fans were misreading
It's
the show's
not about
intentions, and that
diversity, and that's the thing. That's the thing that everybody is missing. I feel like this is going over everybody's fucking head, bro. That it's not about diversity. It's about what we're familiar with. We don't want to see you go across screen acting like Iron Man because there already is an Iron Man. It's just that simple.
criticism was less about storytelling, more about hidden agendas. But here's the problem. The show didn't fail because of its representation. It failed because of its writing, its structure, its heart, or lack of it. And fans, real fans, know the difference. Marvel tried to turn legitimate criticism into a narrative.
But yeah,
about
I'm going to see that
social issues, but
Fantastic
strategy
Four
backfired, because even the hate watchers, the ones who
IMAX
usually show
if
up
I
just to
can
dunk on a bad
3D.
show, didn't care enough to tune in. That's how deep the disinterest went.
If
This
I
wasn't a
can.
backlash. It was a funeral. And as the credits rolled on the sixth
It
and
was
final
a funeral?
episode, something became painfully
Sheesh.
clear. Marvel wasn't just losing fans. They were losing trust. When a show drops on Disney Plus, one thing usually follows almost immediately. The numbers. Viewership stats, trending charts, engagement metrics, the kind of figures that studios love to flex, even when the reception is mixed. Just look at The Acolyte. Despite its divided fan base, Disney couldn't wait to release those viewership numbers. Same with Agatha All Along. And when Daredevil Born Again landed, they were
I love
quick to
it,
blast
bro.
out 7.5 million views in 3 days. But Ironheart, nothing. No
But I
stats,
gotta get
no
my
trending,
Disney Plus
no press
back.
release. Just a digital silence. And in the streaming world, silence speaks volumes. It tells us exactly what Marvel doesn't want to say out loud. That Ironheart didn't just underperform. It flatlined. Industry insiders even checked the
yeah.
Luminary charts, the third-party measurement tool that tracks viewership across streaming services. And Ironheart didn't even register. Not top 10, not top 20, nowhere. Let's put that in perspective. You could spend $200 million on a series and expect at least some curiosity. Hate watchers, casual fans, maybe even the algorithm doing its thing. But Ironheart, it was like no one even knew it existed. It didn't trend on Twitter. It didn't spark
I
Reddit
mean, and the
threads.
algorithm
Even
did
TikTok,
do
the
its
platform
thing
that can turn literal
afterwards.
junk into trending content, stayed eerily quiet. That's not
Yeah,
just a
I
bad
mean,
debut,
y'all did a
it's
crazy
bad
cleanup
momentum.
job,
Still, Marvel
'cause
kept
I
rocking
never
and
even
achieving
heard of
numbers.
this
They didn't
series
inflate
coming
the
out.
engagement. They didn't even lie about success like studios sometimes do, because there was nothing to work with. And when Disney doesn't brag,
I literally, I
something's
think I
gone
heard the
horribly
first
wrong.
time I heard
They
about
didn't
this
stop
was
there. Instead of
on
admitting
Twitter.
failure, they reached into their usual corporate toolbox
And I was like, is this
pulled out the
real?
most
I thought it
ridiculous
was
excuse
like
of
AI
all.
or some
With the numbers
shit.
tanking and reviews spiraling, Marvel needed a narrative, and fast. So they did what they've done before when a project fails. They blamed the audience. Almost overnight, the conversation
Oh my
shifted
god.
from, why did
Y'all
Ironheart
studios, y'all gotta stop doing that shit, bro. Y'all gotta stop doing that shit. It's not our fault that your movie, TV show, etc. flopped, bro. Right? If you make a good movie, then we'll react well. It's just that simple.
and with fans? To are fans just uncomfortable with diversity? And leading that charge, Dominique Thorne herself. In interviews, she accused critics of missing the point. She said Backlash wasn't about bad writing or boring characters. It was about viewers.
You know, she and I kind of feel bad for her, bro. I really do. I feel bad for her, right? Because she was pretty much set up to fail, right? She was 100% like before this show even came out, right? Before they even started production, this was gonna be a flop. It just was, right? Unless they would have executed it like, okay, well, she's not Tony Stark's equal, but that's what you're pretty much trying to portray here. We're not buying that shit, bro.
Shield. They took a show that was poorly
We're not
written,
buying that
lazily
shit.
structured, emotionally disconnected. And when it didn't work, they hid behind social identity. They didn't ask, did we create a compelling story? Did we earn the audience's investment? Did we give this character real depth? No. They asked, why are fans being so negative? Why aren't they supporting this vision of progress? But here's the truth. Audiences know the difference. They know when a character is built with care, and when one is built to tick boxes. They know when a story is trying to connect, and when it's trying to lecture. And that's the tragedy of Ironheart. Because this could have been great. The idea of a young, brilliant black woman taking on the mantle of the Iron Legacy, that should have been powerful. But instead of giving her an heart, they gave
Yeah.
her an agenda. Instead of struggle, they gave her a speech. Instead of heart, they gave her hashtags.
And I already know, bro. Some people are gonna be like, "This is a
Suit
race
up,
thing,
Violet.
bro."
Mecha Break is
Right.
live. Now on PC with
And mind you, that race card, that shit powerful. I'm not gonna lie to you, it is. That shit is powerful as shit. That's like a damn draw 4. But I don't think you could use that in this. Not with this, because like we really know the real reason why people don't like the show. It's not because she's black, bro. Is literally because there's the wrong person wearing the suit of armor.
a bullet point list of smoke toys and hoped people would clap. And when they didn't, well, the fans were suddenly the problem. But you know what's funny? Even the so-called haters didn't show up. There were no mass downvotes, no trending cancellation hashtags, because people weren't mad. They just didn't care. And that's far worse, because anger can be managed. It can be spun. But apathy, that's the final blow. And Marvel
Damn.
which is why they buried this
Yeah,
show.
yeah, she was doomed. She was doomed from the jump,
Narrative
bro.
that tried to shift blame instead of owning failure. But what Ironheart really revealed wasn't just a problem with one show. It was the crack in the foundation Marvel's been building on for years. Let's drop the act for a moment, because what Ironheart exposed
What were they
wasn't just
building?
a broken show. It was a broken mindset. The idea that branding can replace storytelling, that checking the right boxes can substitute for genuine character arcs.
But
that
it can't,
slapping
though.
a Marvel logo on a script is enough
But
to
it
make you
can't.
care. And here's the painful truth. It's not. Once upon a time, the MCU understood this. They knew that what made Tony Stark unforgettable wasn't his suit. It was his sacrifice. They knew that Steve Rogers wasn't compelling because he had super
now they're
strength.
cooking.
It was because he was willing to jump on a grenade before he had to. Characters are raw.
they
don't
cooking.
struggle. They just show up fully formed, say all the right things, and expect applause. And fans feel that. They feel the absence of vulnerability, the absence of consequence, the absence of soul. Because somewhere along the way, Marvel stopped building stories. They started building symbols. And that's what Riri Williams became. Not a person, not a journey, not a hero. A concept she was designed to represent. But she wasn't allowed to fail. She wasn't allowed to question herself. She wasn't alled to be wrong. But here's the
Yeah,
thing. Heroes
it's not
aren't
on her,
built by
bro.
being
That's
perfect.
just the
They're built by
studios.
making
That is what it
mistakes,
is,
learning,
bro.
by losing and still moving forward. And
It
Ironheart
was
skipped all
doomed
that,
from the
because
beginning.
when storytelling takes a backseat to messaging, you don't get heroes. You get products. And audiences don't connect with products. They don't cheer for them. They don't fight for them. They forget them, which is exactly what happened here. Marvel wanted Riri to carry the torch. Instead, they handed her a hollow script, a
Damn.
FR, and a finale that felt more like a bad joke than a heroic turning point.
No,
And they
he's
acted
been
shocked.
cooking
Nobody
and
showed up,
roasting
but
this
it's not because
entire-
people are afraid of change. It's because people are tired of being told that criticism equals hate. The truth is, Ironheart didn't fail because fans are bad. It failed because the writing was lazy. The characters were flat.
There
the
you
scenes
go.
were non-existent. The formula is broken. The audience has figured it out.
Let 'em
The worst
cook,
part,
bro.
Marvel has no idea how to fix it. So where does that leave us? 6 episodes, $200 million, years of delays, rewrites, PR spin, a stealth release strategy, a forced legacy, a forgotten
Yeah, I think
finale.
it's
Now,
safe to
nothing.
say
No renewal
at this point, bro, that this series is not gonna get a season 2, bro. But yeah, that's all I got for tonight, bro. Your boy's tired, so I'm about to go ahead and get up out of here, man. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this, bro. This is interesting.